Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Gevorg. I've been with NVIDIA for about a year doing game analysis, but today I'm going to talk about my experience with other gaming application, a lot of gaming application overall, and how to use user data to get a better experience. So first, I want to ask if there are any gamers in the audience, like good gamer that regularly plays. Okay. So today we're going to do some kind of translation of data technology language to human understandable language. So personally, I'm a tech guy, and I want to introduce things in a way that people may understand better as a gamer, and on the other side as a developer that produces all these products. So for anyone who is not very keen on gaming, I want to introduce the industry that has started in 1970s. We're of course speaking about video games and virtual games, and up to 2020s. So everything started with arcades. So what is that? You know, we're taking our kids to malls right now. They have those machines. We buy coupons. Back then, they were the only way to play video games. So by then, the games were not brought to the user. The user were brought to the games. And after that, people started to revolutionize that. So what I mean by that, we introduced the game. We bring the game to the user. So we introduced consoles. We introduced handheld ones, you know, the Tetris we had as a kid, PCs. And the boom was when we introduced smartphones. So by smartphones, we had a lot of opportunity to bring the games to the people. And also I want to talk about the last stage of the revolution, that is the cloud gaming. So what is that? When we use our devices, we're rendering all the games and all the frames in our devices. But right now, we have clouds where all the game is rendered and brought to the user. So this is the latest stage when game is brought to the user further. So this is shortly about the game industry right now. And next, I want to talk about our perception of the games. So there are a lot of things that we know as a game in regular that we spend time playing. One example is chess. So all of are my favorites. So upright, we have chess.com application, which is known as a game, right? So it's a board game. We play it a lot in Armenia, so it's considered as a game. But from the development perspective, okay, we code the game, we code the logic, but we don't approach it as a gaming application. So we don't interact with the user behavior in there. So, okay, we have some moves, but we cannot say, let's say, user retention drops on the 10th move because people get tired on the 10th move and so on. So from this perspective, chess is considered as a less game. On the right side, we have two different applications. So first one is Duolingo, a screenshot of Duolingo, which is a language learning application. So you play, you interact with the application, you solve some tasks, and this is considered more game than a chess match. And next one is Solo Learn. That's an Armenian product that was developed started development in 2015. And it's for learning the coding. So you play games and you learn code. So on that perspective, this is a gaming application. Okay, so I want to talk about the happy and unhappy scenarios. So once we understood what may be considered as games, we want to dive deeper into the situations where you develop games and what situations are happy and unhappy. So as Tolstoy said, all the families are happy the same way, but all unhappy families are unhappy in different ways. So the same applies in tech technologies, and we use that citation a lot. So in this situation, we're happy when we just start the product. We launch the gaming pipelines. We launch analytics and data pipelines at the same time. So we don't differentiate between software development cycles and data cycles. So this is the most happy situation that we may have. We may have a lot of situations where we are not happy. So for example, we've deployed our game for 3 months, half a year, and we found some in-app issues. Or maybe we're happy with the game performance, but we want to pump up some numbers. So we need to define KPIs. We want more engagement. We want more monetization. So in this situation, when we haven't done anything, we may try to find solutions. So we need to mine the data to investigate the issue. Like in the second situation, we may have some money to invest to create a new team, a data team, and start to investigate on the issue. So there are 2 solutions. First one, and the worst one, is that we have not collected any data up to that point. What we do, we need to start over and over again, and we need to start what we should have done earlier. And a bit better scenario is when we have collected the data, but we never analyzed that. We don't have any information. So we need some time for exploring the data, and that takes more money. So that comes to the idea that we should have invested in data earlier. So these are all happy, unhappy scenarios. Let's talk a bit about the happy scenarios and keep it positive. But before that, we need to understand where our business is right now. So this is another dimension about mostly about the quantity of the data that we have. So first critical point is when we don't have enough data. So we just launched, we started to deploy our game, collect the data, but we still don't have enough data. We may be at this point at any time of our application release, because like data is never enough at some point. So this is the scale that we need to consider at any time. And another point is when we don't have enough budget. So we've collected a lot of data. Maybe we don't perform as well to invest into data to create the infrastructure. So this is the scale that we need to consider at all points to see how happy we are with our data pipelines. So let's get more technical and talk about a happy online game design. For example, let's say it's, I don't know, Fortnite or whatever, any game, online game that you play. I mean, PUBG is very popular in our region. Consider such a scenario. So to simplify the structure, I've actually oversimplified the architecture. And what we have at the very first place is the content delivery network. When we install the application, we purchase some application or features, and this is the first point when it arrives to the gamer. As I mentioned earlier, we bring it to the gamer. So then we have some internals that happen in the game that you don't actually see. So like different servers or login or proxies or patches, and all arrive to the actual gaming server. So 2 different servers. One is for world server and another one where you actually play, and the close server to you. And of course, eventually we have some data. So this is the game, not analytics related data, but game essential data. So we cache some data, we store some data to retrieve anything that we have, to for gaming experience. So on top of that, if you see, we add some new points that are for happy online game and happy data infrastructures. So first of all, we see those points that are allowed. We transfer everything to events. So we have different ways to communicate between those services, but for happy data infrastructure, we need to substitute everything to an event service. So we publish an event, we subscribe to an event, and we communicate that way. So basically, these are for all kind of communications, so logins and client data, session data, and all come to our gaming database. After we've implemented all the events, right now we have a chance to process the events. So we don't touch anything game-related, and we process it separately. So we bring it to processing level for on-scale processing level. So we have a lot of events. We have to scale up. We have to store in a data lake, an example, and we need to report it the way that some other professionals may understand. So this is the happy infrastructure, not quite very game-specific. This is a general overview projected to game industry, but this is the so-called happy infrastructure. Of course, we have different scenarios where like we have happy infrastructure, but we're not alike. Like we're on early stages, so on each stage we're happy, but we're not very much alike to other stages. So this is the most important part of the presentation, I think, because we need to find where we are right now and where to invest. So for example, you just launched, you don't have enough money. What to do to cost your cost, but to look into the future that may be very cost effective for you right now, but that is a real investment for your future analysis. So my personal opinion and my personal experience says that the very first thing that you need to do is change into events and to add it to some storage. So this is the first step that you should take at the very first stage. And if you look at the right side, this is more like cycle. So it starts at some point and gets you back at that very point. So you start everything in analytics related from the backend. So you have backend infrastructure and you change everything from there. Once you move up to the analytics and processing on scale, you should start actually invest on analytics. So the next step is to process your events on scale. So what I mean by that is first you already can find some insights. So this may be in raw form, this may be in a form that you may not be very satisfied, but you already have enough budget to invest in that. So this is the next step, and it already connects your backend to your analytics. Once you scale up, you need to invest more into exploration and discovery. So these are deeper analysis where at this stage, you define your KPIs. So you have the product that performs pretty well, and you need to know how well by which feature. So all the features should be defined at this stage. At the earlier stage, it would be very rough for you to communicate between other divisions of your company. So if you're going all those three stages, I think you will be these are very bases that you may need, but going further will provide you more information. So up to this point, we discussed all the communication between backend and analytics, and this is the most basic situation you may find in companies. So a lot of companies don't even invest in more, going into deeper analysis and closing the cycle. But let's discuss all other 4 steps which may provide you additional value. So another stage is to have a very good designed data lake. By that I mean, once you've collected all the data, once you've started operating on your analytics, you need to invest more on that to automate a lot of things that your team has already been doing, and you have you have already a lot of information on that, so you cut costs on that and invest into that, and you bring two more groups of professionals here, that is data engineering and business intelligence group. So for data engineering part, that is basically automating all the cycle up to this point that you've been invested, and you actually cut all the costs for that. And for business intelligence, you actually bring more professionals that are more into the specific domain. So you bring a lot of people that understand gaming better than your analysts. And you bring professionals that can process your data better than your analysts. Also, with these professionals, you provide the next step, which is customized reports. So you may have more. You may have more investments coming. So you may have like more groups into your company. So you need to customize your report and report all different groups differently. So this is another step to accomplish. And next two steps are like most advanced, and that really closes the pyramid. So first of all, it's real-time analytics. So both these two stages are very game-specific. So with real-time analytics, you provide actually what is like customer service for, let's say, a shopping website or something. So what it does is actually bringing your game performance and data to another new level, where you can immediately report your game performance to all the groups in your company. So that is a matter of minutes or maybe seconds. So this is the real-time analytics, and you need to include all the professionals up to now. And for closing the cycle, we need to do real-time in-app feedback. So whatever happens in your game should be processed and be brought back to your game. So this is why we started with backend and close the cycle with backend. So whenever imagine a scenario where your backend creates the data, it gets processed, and that processed data is being used for in-game performance. So this is the situation where you're really game specific and you created all the game data cycle specific for that. And there are a couple of do's and don'ts that really apply to gaming. So all the points are together. For example, when you design your data carefully and when you store a flattened data. So gaming data is very high frequency data. So you have events, you have clicks, you have all the things happening in your gaming environment. So it's not just your regular application. You need to design your data lake very carefully to save some space. Another point I really want to mention is the last one, when you have to solve the problems before it really happened. I mentioned this point yesterday, like gamers are very sensitive to bugs. You need to make sure that you don't have any bugs before it even happens. So you don't need to wait for a feedback. You don't need to break bad and just solve the issue before it even happens. Yeah, I think this is the most important feature for game analytics and game feedback. Yep, and I should wrap up. Thanks for your attention. You may ask any questions anytime in lobby if you meet me. So thanks a lot.